When people think about weight loss, it's something that's on the mind of quite a few people, and they want to know, what are the strategies, what can I do, what should I do, what should I not do? The following are just a few suggestions that can help you if you're in the place of wanting to offer advice to someone who's wanting to lose weight. If they ask you, what can I specifically do? Now, most people want to hear, I can take a pill and look like a weightlifter or a supermodel, and that's just not realistic, nor is it healthy. And the goal ought to be long-term health, not just short-term weight loss. So in terms of long-term health, we're going to go over some things here that you can use as suggestions to help people who want to be healthier and who want to lose weight. The first one, and the most important one, is that diet plus exercise is still the best way to promote long-term health and to lose weight. People don't like to hear that, but it's fact. It's reality. If you exercise to get your body healthy and you eat less than you use, you will lose weight, you will be more healthy. So diet and exercise are critical to people's health and to weight loss, and you have to get them over that hurdle. You got to let them know that, hey, the diet isn't extreme, nor do we want to make you lose a rapid amount of weight instantly. It's going to be over the long haul. As your health improves and as your diet improves, your weight will go down. So diet and exercise still the best way to help people lose weight. Next, get them to make changes, even small changes, but whatever changes they make sure they are changes for long-term health, not short-term weight loss. If they go on a particular diet that promises to help them lose 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 pounds, and it's just a short-term change, all of that weight will come right back. And it may even add more, which of course psychologically discourages the person. It does not improve their health. Yo-yoing the body like that up and down is not helpful. So help them make small incremental changes with always the goal beyond just the immediate weight loss to long-term health. So convince them that diet and exercise is important or critical, and then just making changes that always have the idea of long-term health in view. I am making a lifestyle choice here, not just a short-term temporary change so I can shed a few pounds. Next, help them do something measurable. Help them burn in a measurable way 500 more calories a day than they consume. So if they're on a 2,000 calorie a day diet, help them burn 2,500 calories so that there's a point at which they are burning more than they are consuming, and therefore each day they're losing a little bit more weight. So use 500 more calories than you actually consume each day. 4, beware of setting a perfect weight goal. This is very dangerous because, once again, it's not long-term health. I'm not making a lifestyle change. I'm just driving myself to get to this magic number, whatever that is. And once I get there, then I can quit all the changes I've made and go back to the way things were before because I've reached the magic number. There is no perfect weight. I mean, I know we've got body mass indexes, indices, and all that kind of stuff. It's not body mass and weight, it's health. So try to keep out of their mind these ideas of, I've got to get down to this weight. It's like, no, you need to make small incremental changes to get healthy, and the weight will slowly come off over time. Next, give them as much education as possible by looking at their life and then comparing it to a healthy lifestyle. So eating patterns. When do you eat? Why do you eat them? Do you traditionally snack a lot before going to bed? Why is that? When you go through the grocery store, do you go well-fed or hungry? Makes a difference on the choices you make, or the restaurants you visit. So in one sense, you need to give them good education about their eating patterns and about shopping patterns. When you go, why you go, do you graze while you shop, do you try all the samples, things like this, just to make little changes. Eat, then go shopping. You're less likely to snack as you go, less likely to buy things that are really poor for your health. So education on eating patterns, their eating patterns as compared to healthy eating patterns, their shopping patterns as compared to healthy shopping patterns. Next, talk to them about portion control. It's not that you're eating pizza, it's that you're eating a whole pizza. A slice or two of pizza is not bad, but an entire pizza is a problem. So talk to them about portion control. You can have what you want, just keep it smaller. And then next, have them keep a log of their food so that you can get a snapshot of a day, a week, and maybe even a month. Here is how you ate, when you ate, how much you ate. Perhaps even have them include things about their mental and emotional state. I was bored and so I snacked. I was depressed and so I ate comfort food. Things like this. I was stressed so I went and grabbed a Twinkie, and don't berate them for that. Just keep the log and get a snapshot of when they eat, why they eat, and how much they eat so that you can help them make small changes, once again, for long-term health. And then last, let them know that occasional cheating is okay. We're not trying to drive them into the ground or make them miserable, but that the long haul, the overall path that they are on, is a healthy one. If your trajectory is healthy, the occasional extra cookie is not going to derail it. We can get back on track. It's not a problem. So occasional cheating is okay. Well, this is just a smattering of ideas, weight loss suggestions that can help people who are seeking to lose weight. If you'd like to learn more about this and related matters, there's a link underneath this video. Click on it. It'll take you to a website. And at that website, along with that other information, you'll also find there a link to an ebook that's ready for immediate download. Today we're going to take a little bit of time to talk about several methods or ways that you can help people reduce the amount of fat eaten in their diet. How to reduce the amount of fat that is consumed in a person's diet. I've got 7 ways on the board here behind me. Obviously this does not exhaust the topic, but just to give us a basic overview and to talk about things that you can do, not only for yourself, but to help others reduce the amount of fat eaten in their diet. So the first one, we talk about the importance of nutritional labels. The importance of nutritional labels. The government requires nutritional labels on food to talk about the amount of fat in that particular product. And so in educating someone on how to reduce the amount of fat in their diet, you need to teach them how to read a nutritional label and say, always look at the back before you buy the product. And if you're going to consume it, obviously you can't do this for restaurants, although actually some restaurants do print fat content for various things that you order off the menu, especially fast food places. But essentially, when they're buying their own food and looking at these things, you tell them to look at the nutritional label, see the amount of fat per serving, do the simple calculations to figure out how much would be consumed in your average serving, and realize that the goal then is that less of their daily caloric intake, less than 30% of it should be from fat. So less than 30% of the daily calories consumed need to be from fat. So you're trying to get their calorie fat consumption less than 30%. So nutritional labels are key to that. Number 2, encourage them to eat more fish and chicken and less red meat. So if they can make a swap, if you will. Okay, you might want a hamburger here, instead have the chicken sandwich. You want a steak, why not have the fish? So encourage them to make these swaps and eat more fish and chicken and less red meat. Third, encourage them to eat more vegetables and less meat. So we've already made the meat swap, and then from there, increase vegetables, decrease the amount of meat eaten per day, per meal. Perhaps if you can get a salad in without chicken on it and not too much dressing, you reduce the amount of fat, and the calories coming in are more healthy. So that helps with eating more vegetables, less meat. Number 4, encourage them to eat smaller portions. Sometimes someone wants to eat something that they really like. It's got high fat content. Tell them that's okay. Just eat less. You don't have to fill up on this or eat a huge amount. Choose smaller portions, and if they were to do this not just on the time that they feel like they're cheating, eating something that's higher in fat, but for all they're eating, to lessen the portions that they're eating. Eat less portions per meal, reduces the amount of calories coming in overall, and certainly reduces the amount of calories coming in from fat. So eat smaller portions. And then 5, when they're given the choice between saturated fats, trans fats, and unsaturated fats, to always choose the unsaturated fats. So once again, the nutrition labels are key here, but eat unsaturated fats and try to avoid saturated fats and trans fats. Between saturated and trans fats are obviously the worst, so stay away from the trans fats altogether if you're able to. Saturated fats, keep them to a minimum, and prioritize, if you are going to have fats, unsaturated fats. And then 6, in food preparation, encourage them to not fry the food. Or for yourself, I want to lower my amount of fat consumed, so when I'm going to prepare my food, or I'm going to have my food prepared by another, or I'm telling someone else about food preparation, don't fry the food. You're frying it in fat, which of course adds to the fat content of the food. Find other ways that are just as tasty to prepare the food without frying it. And then finally, number 7, eat less snack foods. Now, we're not saying snack less, we're eating less snack type foods. Snack type foods are going to be like potato chips and cookies and things like that that obviously are going to be high in the fat content. If you need a snack, eat an apple, have some carrots, things like this. So snacking is okay, but when you're snacking, more vegetables, less snack type foods that are high in fat, usually saturated and trans fats. These are just some of the ways that you, in educating someone else or for yourself, can encourage less fat intake in the diet and thereby improve health. There are obviously more things that can be said under this way, but there are 7 ways to reduce fat in a person's diet. Nutrition labels, key. Information, you need that information. Nutrition labels, eat more fish, less red meat, more chicken, less red meat, eat more vegetables, less meat, smaller portions, unsaturated fats, don't fry your food, and try to minimize and or get rid of the snack foods. If you'd like to learn more about this or related matters, underneath this video you'll see a link. If you'll click on that link, it'll take you to that website, and while you're at that website, you'll find a link to an ebook that's ready for immediate download. Today we're just going to go over just a few of the basic facts related to skill fitness, how you can tell what level someone has in a particular skill, how fit they are. And it can be broken down into 6 categories, and I just want to briefly go over those categories so that as you're thinking about skill fitness, you'll know what to be looking for. So first, when we think about someone's skill fitness level, we need to think about agility. Agility is the ability to change body position rapidly and to maintain control over your body movements. Someone who has high agility can rapidly change body position and has a high degree of control over their body's motion or movements. When we think of agility, we tend to think of people like gymnasts, these sorts of things. They have a high degree of control over their body movements as well as the ability to change their body position rapidly. Along with agility, we have balance, and this is the ability to stay upright while moving or standing. And once again, we might think of a gymnast on a balance beam here. Their ability to remain balanced, to stay upright while moving or standing. After balance, we have coordination, and coordination has to do with the relatedness or connectedness between what the sense information coming in from the eyes or the ears or other senses as it relates to the body's movement. And we talk about good hand-eye coordination, good foot-eye coordination. So a soccer player would obviously need good foot-eye coordination. As the ball is coming in, they have to coordinate body movement to meet the ball with the feet and send it where they want it to go. Same with perhaps a baseball player with good hand-eye coordination, looking to hit a pitch as it comes in. The eye is receiving the information and they're able to coordinate body movement related to that sensory information that's coming in. Next, power. Someone's skill fitness is related to their strength plus their speed. Strength plus speed is the way we come up with power. Someone can be fast and not very powerful. They can also be strong and not necessarily powerful, but strength plus speed equals power. When we think about this, you might think about what's necessary in terms of a baseball player hitting a home run. They need to be strong and fast in order to connect with the pitch that's coming in and send it over the fence. Next, we think reaction time. Reaction time is the length of time between when the signal is given, whatever that is, visual or audible, and how long it takes the men to respond to that stimulus, that external mechanism that says, hey, start. So the reaction time then is the start time after the signal's received. Here you can think maybe of a sprinter down waiting for the sound of the signal gun to go off, and then to immediately after that sound leap from the line and sprint down the lane. So start time is the amount of time it takes from when they hear the signal to the body's beginning motion. And then finally, speed. Remember we said power is strength plus speed. Speed is the ability to perform a motion or to cover a distance in a very short period of time, short span of time. The motion speed, we might think here of a boxer's ability to throw a quick punch or jab, and then covering distance in a short time span would once again be the sprinter or the a football player getting his time on his 40 and that sort of thing. So speed is the ability to perform a motion or to cover distance in a short time span. Well, anyway, these are the 6 skill fitness categories: agility, balance, coordination, power, reaction time, and speed. And where you fall in all these categories would be the level of your skill fitness. And of course, as you evaluate this, you can find areas perhaps where there's areas to improve, weaknesses, and then you can focus on that particular category of skill fitness and try to improve their hand-eye coordination, their balance, their agility, their speed, things like this, as you put together a training regimen for someone else or for yourself. This has been just a brief overview then of skill fitness and the 6 areas related to it. If you'd like to learn more about this or related matters, underneath this video you'll find a link. If you'll click on it, it'll take you to the website with that information. And while you're there, you'll find a link on that website to an ebook that's ready for immediate download. All right, today we're going to talk about how to find percentage body fat. And this is done using calipers in millimeters, measuring skin folds, pinches of skin folds at 4 different areas. It begins with a vertical pinch of skin on top of the bicep, about halfway between the elbow and the shoulder. The second place then is on the tricep, on the back of the arm, a vertical pinch or fold of skin, once again halfway between the shoulder and the elbow. Those 2 are measured in millimeters. And then you go to the person's back, about 2 centimeters below their scapula, their shoulder blade, and there you're going to pinch a fold of skin at a 45-degree angle and measure that. And then finally, the last place you're going to go is the iliac crest, or basically the pelvis at the top, just above that, at a 45-degree angle, with the top of that 45-degree angle going towards the person's armpit. Once you have the measurements then from each of these 4 places, vertical pinch at the bicep, vertical pinch at the tricep, 45-degree at the subscapular, and 45-degree just above the iliac crest, you take those 4 measurements together and you put them in the proper formula, and that will churn out for you the percentage body fat. This particular method works well for those between the ages of 17 and about 65. Today we're going to briefly go over the METS method. The METS method. A MET is a metabolic equivalent, essentially measuring the amount of energy used. Now, 1 MET equals the rate of the average person using oxygen while at rest per pound of body weight. So at rest meaning sitting or sleeping, how many calories would they burn, how much oxygen would they use for the average person. Basically, the average adult burns about 1 calorie per every 2.2 pounds of body weight while at rest. This amounts to a 160-pound person would burn 70 calories per hour at rest. Now, why this is important is it provides a way then to gauge the amount of energy used based on particular activities. If this is what it is at rest, then what would it be at walking, moderate exercise, running, sprinting, high-intensity workouts, things like this can all be charted and measured. And it's important for people who are wanting to get in shape, improve their health. You can quantify it for them and let them know that as they get healthier, this value is going to change somewhat and they need to move on to higher intensity things to get the same equivalent amount of energy burned and benefit from it. So basically the METS method, this metabolic equivalent, is just another way of helping measure, quantify the amount of calories burned and the use of oxygen based on particular activities once you establish the baseline. And this is the baseline here. And you go from there, and there it can be charted and has been charted essentially to show what different activities amount to in METS. So it's a unit of measure. And if you'd like to learn more about METS or related matters, then underneath this video you'll find a link. If you'll click on that link, it'll take you to the website that has that information. And while you're at that website, you'll also find a link to an ebook that's ready for immediate download. In this video today, we'd like to go over the guidelines that the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services have provided to assist people to help them stop smoking. So the following guidelines to help smokers quit have been established by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. The first guideline is anytime a smoker, or anytime actually any patient comes into a doctor's office, the guideline says ask each one, do you smoke? And if so, record the status and ask them every time they come in. So next visit, are you still a smoker? And record the status, yes or no. So you're asking about it each time they come in and you're recording it. The second guideline is if they say yes that they're a smoker, then part of the visit ought to be spent at least talking with the person about why they should stop smoking and give them the health reasons for it. Not only the detrimental effects on their health, but the positive effects, the benefits to their health if they don't smoke. So both the pros and the cons, the pluses and the minuses, the benefits and all that, to advise them so that they would stop smoking. Then, after you've recorded it and given them the information, talked to them about that, you need to ask specifically, are you willing to quit? If they say no, then provide support and continue giving them information. Hey, read this, think about it, we'll talk about it next time. However, if they say, I am willing, you've convinced me, I've noticed the damage to my health, I want to stop, I want the help to stop smoking. If that's the case, then you need to provide resources for them. You need to get them the help that they need in order that they might truly quit. Among those resources then are, first, set a plan. You know, the old adage, it's silly, but it makes sense. If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. So if they've said, yes, I'm willing, and say, good, we're going to talk to you about a plan and put that in effect and get you the helps to see that plan through so that you'll be more successful in quitting. Some people have the internal gumption, the strength of will that they just quit cold turkey and that's it. Most people are going to need help. So part of assisting them with that help is setting up a plan. And the first step in the plan is to set a date when they are going to begin to stop smoking. Here's the date. And you try to make the date within 2 weeks of the time of that appointment. Don't let it go any further out than that, because if you do, chances are that they won't remember it, they won't keep it. So within 2 weeks of the date that you're talking to them, say that's the date that you agree you're going to stop smoking. So first thing you do is you set a date. Second, on that date, make sure all cigarettes are removed, that there are no cigarettes within their ability to get to. Having them around is too much of a temptation. Talk to them about some of the places where they like to smoke, where they're going to be more tempted to smoke after a meal, when they drink, things like this. Make that connection for them so that they realize, hey, it's going to be worse for you, not during the day, but maybe at times of boredom or times that you're used to smoking, after a meal or while drinking. So remove the cigarettes, set a date, remove cigarettes, talk to them about some of the challenges that they're going to have, and then enlist the help of family and friends. It's critical that you get a support group around the person who will cheer them on, who will help keep them strong when they want to be weak. If they really want to quit, having the help of friends and family who will assist them in that is critical. So you've made a plan, set a date, removed the cigarettes, enlisted the help of family and friends. You've anticipated the challenges by talking to them about what they can expect, times when they're going to be most tempted to want to go back to smoke. And then finally, to help them out, you might suggest some prescription medications, things like the patch, gum, lozenges, things that have nicotine in them in order to assist them with the nicotine cravings. I mean, they're addicted to a substance, you're trying to wean them off of that substance. Sometimes a step-down program where that substance is gradually removed from their system can be beneficial. All right, so these are the guidelines from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to help smokers quit. When they come in, you ask them whether or not they smoke, you record the status, you advise them that they ought to quit, and you provide the health reasons. If they are willing to quit, you provide resources, you give them a plan, set a date, remove the cigarettes, enlist the help of family and friends, let them know of the anticipated challenges, and then perhaps recommend the patch, gum, lozenges, or prescription to help them with nicotine withdrawal. This has just been a basic overview of these guidelines. If you'd like to learn more about this or related matters, underneath this video you'll find a link. If you'll click on that link, it'll take you to the website that has that information. And while you're on that website, you'll also find a link to an ebook that's ready for immediate download. Today we're going to talk about fat. Now everyone assumes that fat is automatically a bad thing, but actually fat is a necessary part of our health. It's excessive fat that's the problem. And so we're going to just go over some of the basic good and bad of fats and then refer you to another website where you can get more information. But we're going to begin by just looking at some of the good things, the beneficial things related to fat. First, fat helps provide insulation for the body. If you've ever noticed people who have excessive body fat, in warm climates need to keep the air conditioning set very low, whereas those who have very little body fat tend to get very cold easily, even in rooms that are of moderate temperature. So the amount of body fat you have actually acts as insulation, which can be good or bad depending on the climate and how much body fat you have. So the fat in your body actually acts partially as an insulator to keep in body heat. Next, fats are good because they help the transportation of fat-soluble vitamins into your system. So some vitamins are water-soluble, other vitamins are fat-soluble. The fat-soluble vitamins need the fats in order to transport them into your system, and therefore you get the good out of them. Now the downside of fat-soluble vitamins is that if you take too many of these, you get an overdose of them. It's stored in the fat and can become toxic. So you need to be careful about the quantity of fat-soluble vitamins you take, but the fat is necessary for the transportation of those vitamins into your system. Next, fat helps provide a source of energy to your body. If carbohydrates are not available, which rapidly get turned into sugars and other things for body energy, then your body can grab a hold of the fats, which is basically stored energy, and keep you going. So your body will actually want to store fats against future needs, so that as you try to lose weight, sometimes your body works against you. It starts to worry, hey, wait a minute, we don't have enough storage here. If you lose more fat, the body gets worried that there won't be energy in case it's needed in the future, and sometimes works against you in weight loss. But basically, fats are stored future energy, and so fat is an energy source for the body. Also, fats are essential in the creation of linoleic acid, which is an essential acid in the body. Fats help in the production of that particular necessary acid. So those are some of the goods when we think about fat. Some of the bads, though, are related to our health of excessive fat. If you eat excessive fats and therefore develop excessive fat on your body, it leads to weight gain, which can lead to stroke and heart disease, which of course are deadly. None of that's good. And so what you need to do is keep your intake of fats less than 30% of your daily caloric intake. Less than 30% of your daily caloric intake should be from fats of all kinds. So when you add up the various saturated and unsaturated fats and that sort of thing, you want to keep it less than 30% of your daily intake of calories. Now, most people say that the bad fat is cholesterol, but cholesterol is not all bad. It comes in two types: high-density lipoprotein and low-density lipoprotein, with the shorter acronyms of HDL and LDL. Your cholesterol is considered high if it's above 240 milligrams per deciliter. It's a measurement of density there. And also your HDL and LDL need to be in the correct ratio to one another. If one is high and the other is excessively low, then you have a out of proportion cholesterol reading there. They're too far apart. They're not in a good ratio to one another. And this can also be bad for your health. So these are some of the bads when we think of fats: too much fat, out of proportion cholesterol, things like that. But fats themselves are a necessary part of our health and living. And if they're used in moderation, kept less than 30% of your daily intake, they're not bad. They're actually good. They provide a lot of beneficial benefits to the body. This has been just a basic overview then, talking briefly about some of the facts related to fats. If you'd like to learn more about this or related matters, underneath this video, you'll find a link. If you'll click on that link, it'll take you to that website that has that information. And while you're on that website, you'll also find a link to an ebook that's ready for immediate download. Hi, today we're going to talk a little bit about circuit training. Circuit training is a type of training that links together a series of exercises, between 4 to 10 different exercises, and introduces a short rest, a brief rest, in between each exercise as they're all done in a circuit. Now, circuit training is good for muscle endurance, muscle strength, and cardiovascular fitness. It combines all of these together, which makes it a great way to train. You get maximum benefit, overall body fitness, because you've linked together these 4 to 10 exercises with brief rest, high intensity, and it builds power, strength, endurance, and because it's done rapidly with brief periods of rest between, cardiovascular health as well. So one of its greatest positive benefits of circuit training is its versatility. It can be shaped or put together to emphasize one type of benefit over another. For example, a power-based circuit would basically emphasize short time periods of doing the exercise, longer rests between exercises, but once again done with high intensity. So short duration of the exercise, longer rest periods, high intensity, you build power. If you want to do an endurance-based circuit, then what you would do is have longer time periods of engaging in the exercise, shorter rest periods in between, but the same high intensity. And the high intensity is what makes the circuit training beneficial. So it's versatile. It can be tweaked or shaped to either build power or endurance. It promotes overall health, muscle endurance, muscle strength, and cardiovascular fitness. And it's linking together in a series between 4 and 10 different exercises, usually involving the whole body or large muscle groups in the body. If you'd like to learn more about circuit training and things related to it, there's a link beneath this video. Click on it, it'll take you to a website where you can find out more, and at that website you'll also find an ebook ready for immediate download.
We are going to talk about the actions of muscles. The main actions that muscles take are isometric, isokinetic, and isotonic. Isometric action is a stable, unmoving action of the muscle. It is a static exercise, meaning the muscle and the joint does not move and the muscle does not change length. Isometric exercise can strengthen the muscle, but only in the position that the exercise was held. Isokinetic exercises require a machine. It's a motion that's made on a machine that controls the speed and the force of the movement. Isotonic or dynamic action moves the muscle visibly. It is a motion most often associated with standard muscle training. It can be broken down into 2 phases. The concentric phase, which is the positive contraction, which is usually the lifting action. It is working against resistance, and this causes a shortening of the muscle. The eccentric phase is the negative contraction, which causes the lengthening. It is typically the extension phase of the exercise. So the muscles can perform isometric or static exercise, isokinetic action, requiring a machine to control the speed and the force of the movement, or isotonic, which is the actual movement of the muscle and joint, typically referred to in standard muscle training.